But resilience has a price. Consumers now pay more for goods as companies move production closer to home or split it across multiple countries. The global economy, once running like a high-speed train, is slowing down and fragmenting. And behind every delay and shortage lies a larger truth. Supply chains are not neutral. They are tools of power. Whoever controls them can shape the destiny of nations. The cracks in globalization have not gone unnoticed by politics. Across the world, a wave of nationalism is reshaping how countries view trade, immigration, and sovereignty. Where once leaders championed free markets and open borders, today they warn of foreign dependency, lost jobs, and eroded identities. The United States, long the architect of global free trade, shocked the world in 2018 when it launched a trade war against China. Tariffs were slapped on hundreds of billions of dollars of goods. Beijing retaliated with tariffs of its own. The move was more than economic. It was symbolic, a signal that Washington was willing to weaponize trade to protect its industries and confront rivals. Even after leadership changes, the tough stance has largely remained. Elsewhere, similar patterns emerged. Britain voted for Brexit in 2016, choosing to leave the European Union in the name of sovereignty. India embraced a self-reliant strategy, boosting domestic industries. Across Europe, populist movements questioned open migration and foreign competition. In Latin America, leaders invoked resource nationalism, demanding greater control over oil, lithium, and rare earths. Deglobalization is not absolute. The world is still deeply connected, but the trend is clear. Countries are hedging, pulling back from reliance on distant partners, and building regional trade blocs. This shift is sometimes framed as friendshoring, moving production to trusted allies instead of geopolitical rivals. The U.S. courts Mexico and Vietnam as alternatives to China. Europe leans on North Africa and Eastern Europe. Japan builds ties with Southeast Asia. The map of trade is being redrawn not just by cost, but by politics. Nationalism has also seeped into technology. The internet, once hailed as a global commons, is fragmenting into what some call the splinternet. China has built the Great Firewall, a digital border that keeps foreign platforms out and censors what comes in. Russia has attempted its own internet sovereignty. The European Union has passed strict regulations, asserting digital independence. America debates banning apps like TikTok over security fears. What began as a shared space for information is now becoming a battlefield of competing national interests. Behind all of this lies a deeper psychological shift. Globalization promised shared prosperity, but many feel it delivered inequality, job losses, and cultural erosion. For millions, the pandemic, rising inflation, and instability have reinforced a desire to look inward. Politicians respond by promising protection, jobs for locals, industries kept at home, borders made secure. But protection comes with costs: higher prices, slower growth, and greater tension with trading partners. The irony is striking. In a world more connected than ever by technology, nationalism is driving nations apart. And while leaders argue that they are protecting sovereignty, the result may be a world less stable, less predictable, and more prone to rivalry. The smartphone in your pocket, the laptop on your desk, even the car in your garage, they're not just products. They are battlegrounds. Every component, from rare earth minerals mined in Africa to semiconductors produced in Taiwan, is part of a supply chain shaped by geopolitics. For decades, the United States leaned on China's vast manufacturing base to produce cheap goods, while China relied on Western markets to fuel its rapid growth. This interdependence was supposed to guarantee peace. Yet today, it has become a source of tension. Washington views Chinese dominance in manufacturing and critical minerals as a strategic risk. Meanwhile, Beijing sees American attempts to decouple as economic warfare. Nowhere is this clearer than in semiconductors, the brain of modern technology. Taiwan, a small island off China's coast, produces over 60% of the world's advanced chips. Both Beijing and Washington understand that whoever controls semiconductors controls the future of artificial intelligence, defense systems, and global trade. This fragile reality has turned the South China Sea into a potential flashpoint where supply chains, national pride, and superpower rivalry collide. The result is a new kind of weapon, economic pressure. Sanctions, export bans, and trade restrictions are now deployed as tools of statecraft. The global economy itself has become a battlefield. When globalization was at its peak, nations believed that markets mattered more than borders. But in recent years, a very different force has returned: nationalism. From Washington to Beijing, Delhi to Moscow, leaders are no longer promising global integration. Instead, they speak of self-reliance, sovereignty, and strategic independence. For the United States, this has meant a return to industrial policy. Billions are being poured into domestic manufacturing under acts like the CHIPS and Science Act, with the goal of reducing dependence on foreign suppliers. In China, Xi Jinping promotes dual circulation, a strategy to make China less reliant on the outside world while strengthening its internal economy. And in Europe, the call for strategic autonomy grows louder each year. Deglobalization does not mean the world is turning inward completely, but it does mean supply chains are being shortened, alliances are being tested, and trust is fading. Where nations once saw trade as a path to peace, they now see vulnerability. Where companies once saw efficiency, governments now see risk. Nationalism is also reshaping politics at home. Citizens facing economic uncertainty are more willing to support leaders who promise protection from global shocks. Whether it's tariffs, subsidies, or border controls, these policies reflect a deeper shift, a world that no longer believes that globalization can solve its problems.